All right, all right, all right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, family physician. For the next hour, we're going to be discussing a proper human diet. And I'm going to try to take some questions from you guys. I am currently post op day 2 from my vasectomy. And I have to say, this was the most uneventful procedure I've ever had. Had virtually no discomfort or pain at all today. I have been taking it easy. I've not been in the woods. I've not been on my tractor, but I'm unimpressed with the pain level from this vasectomy. So if any of you guys are considering it, it's not bad. It's not a big deal. It went very well, Cindy. Thank you very much. Uh, if you have a friend or a family member who always misses these lives and then they bitch about it, you can send them a text right now. You can share this video on your favorite social media. I had a vasectomy bacon gravy. Yes, I did. And I'm glad I did. Neisha's very glad. She says that I'm going to reap many benefits because of my decision. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yay, Sarah, you finally caught one. Where have you been? So good to be back with you guys. Now, try to keep your questions as short as possible while including any relevant information so I can answer as many as I can get to. If you want to bump your question up to the top, if you will click the little $sign and send it as a super chat, that bumps it to the top of the list. That's not necessary. I answer as many questions as I can, but super chats get first dibs. We've got one from, whoa, Jeff, come back here. Jeff says, I had some blood work done doing carnivore for 5.5 months. My ferritin is high. Is this because of all the red meat I'm eating? No, Jeff, it certainly is not from that. Having a high ferritin level is usually a sign of that you're still a little hyperinsulinemic or perhaps a bit inflamed. Having high ferritin in no way means that you have iron overload or any of the other things that doctors will tell you. Good question. Tia, hey Tia, how's it going? My mom was carnivore for 7 months and has fallen off the wagon since getting the flu shot. No, she got influenza B. Now she gets constant headaches. Are carbs the cause? Sometimes you can have a post-infectious headache for a few weeks after any viral infection. That may be part of what's going on, but also if she's back to eating just pure junk again, that could also definitely increase her risks of suffering from headaches. No doubt about it. Neisha says she's a proud wife. Good. She's promised me faithfully that good things come to those who snip. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Thank you, Holly Crazy, for the super chat or the super sticker. Hey, Shannon, how's it going? Lacey says, why is it common to start your menstrual cycle when you first go into ketosis? I actually haven't heard that from any women, Lacey. Perhaps you're deciding to start keto at a particular time of the month. But I can't think of a physiological way that starting keto would make your menstrual cycle come earlier than scheduled. Judy says, how accurate is the hemoglobin A1C test? Just like any lab test, there's going to be a plus or minus 10% error factor. It's a very reliable proxy marker for high blood sugar, but it's not perfect. No test that we check in the lab is perfect. Mike says, when will you have a new book? I actually do have a new book. It's a small book. It's called Common Sense Labs. And there's a link down in the show notes. And it basically, I may have a copy here. Yeah, I did right here. Yeah. So it talks about what labs you should ask your doctor for and what the optimal ranges are for the labs, what the labs mean, because many times if you say, hey, docs, check my C-peptide, your doc will say, I don't even know what that means. If you have this book, you can then read from page 14. This is what it means, doc. This is why it's important. And I am working on the next big book that is tentatively titled Lies My Doctor Told Me. No, I already wrote that one. That's right. It's titled The Proper Human Diet. And it's going to be a fairly in-depth book, and it's going to take a while. Excito says, will keto prevent cataracts in dogs? Cataracts are caused by inappropriate protein cross linkages and by advanced glycation end products. The cells in the lens of your eye or your dog's eye are very, very slow to be replaced. And so if you have glycated them or you have inappropriately cross-linked the proteins, you wind up with cataracts. So eat as low carb a diet as you can. That also applies to your dog and to your cat. Thank you, Matthew. AS says, if you are doing triple B&E, that stands for beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, as a type 2 diabetic, what is the best thing to eat or drink if your blood sugar is low and you feel off? So if any of you guys are still have type 1 and you're on some of the blood pressure lowering medications, and you do get a low blood sugar, a hypoglycemic episode, you can take one bite of a banana. You can eat one wedge of an orange. You can suck the juice from 1/4 of a lemon. You can eat 3 or 4 of those big green seedless grapes. That's literally all it takes to bring your blood sugar right back up to normal. A teaspoon of honey, that'll do it. A lot of people think honey is just fructose, but that's not true at all. The same goes for fruits. A lot of people think, well, no, lemon juice or orange juice, that wouldn't raise your blood sugar. That's fructose. Fruits have fructose for sure, but they also have sucrose and glucose. And so some fruits, for example, mangoes, actually have more sucrose, which is table sugar, than they have fructose. So yeah, any fruit or honey is going to raise your blood sugar right back up to normal, and it's not going to take the entire fruit. It's just going to take a couple of bites. Shannon says, you have a very painful look in your eyes. I'm currently, I have 0 out of 10 pain, Shannon. So I don't know. Maybe it's Holly's
birthday.
It's Holly's birthday?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Holly. I did not know that. How'd you know that?
I saw it in the comments.
Oh, happy birthday, Holly. Everybody's singing happy birthday to Holly. Danny Lou, my lipoprotein A is 236 and was told it is high. Should I continue keto or carnivore? Yes, you should. Barb, I'm doing great on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, except for my autoimmune gastritis. It's painful and seems to also be blocking my absorption of iron. What can I do? Continue eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, or expand out into full carnivore, or even go back to a meat-heavy keto if you feel like that this is keeping your autoimmune gastritis flared up. I highly doubt that. I'm afraid you just haven't continued on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for the full 90 days. Most autoimmune gastroenterological conditions get so much better that sometimes it seems like they've gone into complete remission on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. So I would highly encourage you to continue it for at least 90 days. Al, or is that AI? How much salt is too much? And it's said that too much salt can cause insulin resistance when on Ketovore carnivore. Yeah. So 2 things in this question. First of all, if you're on keto or Ketovore, eating salt to taste, that means if you salt it until the food tastes perfectly salty, that's never going to cause insulin resistance or hyperinsulinemia. This is one of those many myths that's out there in the keto community that's just not true. And so now back to part 1, how much salt is too much? If you salt your food and then you take a bite and you're like, that's too salty, that's too much salt. If you taste it and you're like, that could use some salt, that's not enough salt. your taste buds are hardwired to tell you how much salt you need and whether you should eat salt or not. And so we have these salt rocks that we get from Redmond's. You can order them. There's a link in the show notes. But Beckett will go for days without touching the salt rock. And then out of the blue, he'll pick it up and lick it for 3 minutes. And he'll just be craving the salt because he needs the salt. And his body knows that. So it makes him look for the salt rock. Otherwise, he won't. He eats all his food with a good, healthy dose of salt, salted to taste. And that gives him enough salt most days. But some days, especially if he's been outside playing in the sun, he'll come in and he'll lick the salt rock because he needs more salt. It's funny how the human body, when you stop feeding it junk, it's almost like it tells you what you need. When you break the sugar addiction and the carb addiction, and you weed all of the inappropriate eating habits and inappropriate eating behaviors out of your diet, it's like your body just knows what to do, and it'll actually give you subtle feedback and tell you what to do. It's really cool how that works. All right, let's see what else we got. Thistle Moon Farm says, will keto help retinal nerve damage at all? And so the neurological system, the brain, the optic nerve, all the cranial nerves, the spinal cord, they are very slow to replace new neurons, to make new neurons. And so it takes a long time. So the retina is one of those tissues that almost assuredly will improve and heal and rejuvenate to some degree, but it's going to take months or even years for you to really notice the difference. So it's vital that you don't damage your retina or the neurons in your brain or the neurons in any of your nerves, because it takes a long time to replace those neurons with new healthy neurons. All right, let's see here. Now's the time to ask your short but thorough questions, guys. If you've got a question, tell me, where are you watching from in the world right now? What city, what state, what country? Where are you right now? I want to see who's the furthest away from me right now in the world. Hooded Tom says, I'm on keto and losing weight rapidly. When does it tend to slow down so I can prepare myself not to panic? So typically, Hooded Tom, it starts to slow down somewhere between 5 and 20 pounds from your ideal body weight. So whatever your ideal body weight is, and we can estimate that with the calculators and stuff, but only your body knows truly what your ideal body weight is. And as you get closer to your ideal body weight, your fat loss, which is what you meant, is going to slow down. And in some cases, it can take months to lose that last 5 or 10 pounds, because as you approach your ideal body weight, your ideal body fat percentage, your body slows that down because it doesn't want you to lose too much fat. Human beings are the fattest primates on the planet by design. We're supposed to be. A normal female should have a body fat percentage somewhere between 15 and 25%. And a healthy human male should have a body fat percentage somewhere between 10 and 20%. So when you see these bodybuilders on the cover of Joe Weider's Muscle and Fitness, and they've got a body fat percentage of 4%, that's not appropriate. That's not healthy. That's done falsely through lots of tricks and hacks in order to look good for the cover of Muscle and Fitness. That's in no way a healthy goal for you to try to attain. Have you guys, there's a video of me before, during, and after the vasectomy on Neisha's channel. So if you want to see me high on Valium, check out Neisha's latest video. I think you'll enjoy that. Ada says, what does it mean when you have high calcium, and what can you do about it? So high calcium almost invariably means one of two things. Either you have hyperparathyroidism or you have cancer. And 99.5% of the time, you have undiagnosed hyperparathyroidism. A lot of people will falsely claim that if you take too much vitamin D, that can cause your calcium to be high. Human physiology doesn't work like that. Anybody who says that reveals a lack of basic understanding of human physiology. So you probably have a parathyroid condition. So not your thyroid, but the parathyroid glands. Thank you, Michael Clifford, for the super sticker. Appreciate it very much. Oh, Brenda watched the vasectomy video on Neisha's channel. What'd you think about that, Brenda? Hanako says, should I stop eating vegetables entirely? It depends. It depends on how much body fat you still have to lose. It depends on how inflamed you get when you eat vegetables. Multiple things play into this. Some people's gut microbiome, the bacteria and fungus and viruses that live in their gut, can handle quite a bit of veg. Other people's guts cannot handle that much veg. So if in doubt, should I stop eating all plants? Do 90 days of what we call the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge. And then at the end of that 90 days, see how you feel, and then add back some vegetables and see if you feel better or worse with the vegetables. Thank you, Cecile. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you very much. 30,000 IDRs. I don't know what an IDR is. Thank you very much. I've always wanted some IDRs. Debbie Sue says the vasectomy videos were hilarious. Lori says, shouldn't you have some vegetables? This is a good question, Lori. Many people have this question. And so what you're implying is that there must be vitamins or minerals or amino acids or fatty acids that can only be found in vegetables that you can't get from meat. And when we actually look into the physiology and the nutritional science of this, we discover that there's not a single vitamin or mineral in plants, in vegetables, in fruits that you cannot get from meats. It's all in the meat. It's all in the eggs, especially when you include the yolk of the egg. You're getting all the vitamins and minerals that you need. There's nothing in plants that you're missing out on. Oh, Accountable Keto says, is carnivore good for diverticulitis? Absolutely. Keto's good for diverticulitis. But if you're having severe bouts of diverticulitis, I would highly encourage you to try a carnivore diet for 90 days. And I think you'll be very pleased with the results. Thank you, Peggy. Johnny 444 says, Dr. Berry, please tell my wife that beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is good for fertility and to stop the sugar and carbs. Thanks. Johnny's wife. Hi, I'm Dr. Berry. I'm Neisha's husband. I actually had to get a vasectomy because the carnivore diet made Neisha too fertile. Okay. We were actually talking about having a vasectomy, 12, 13 months ago. And that very night, after one exposure, Neisha got knocked up. So that's what a carnivore diet will do to your fertility. More and more fertility specialists like Dr. Hill in Nashville and Dr. Kiltz in New York are actually recommending a diet heavy in fatty red meat to help their patients who are having trouble conceiving to increase their chances of conceiving, of becoming more fertile. So yeah, carnivore is the way. If you're trying to get knocked up, fatty meat carnivore is the way. Thank you, Suzanne. Paleo Barbie does keto. What is the best way to transition to carnivore from keto without your stomach being upset? I always have stomach issues at first. Paleo Barbie, if you anticipate something like that, people don't understand there's no rush. You don't have to say, okay, this is Thursday now, and I'm going to eat keto. But Friday morning, I'm going 100% carnivore. That's not necessary. You don't have to do that. Nobody has to do that. You can just each week eat a higher percentage of meat and a lower percentage of veg. And you can transition over 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. That's totally fine. And that's going to give your stomach, but more importantly, your gut microbiome time to adjust to your new diet so that you don't have any untoward GI symptoms. Bets. My lipoprotein A is in excess of 1,400. Also have elevated liver enzymes and fatty liver. Is carnivore or ketovore appropriate? Yes, Bets. If you want to reverse your fatty liver, AKA get rid of it completely, then you need to eat Ketovore or Carnivore. Either one will reverse your fatty liver. So the definition of Ketovore is less than 10 total grams of carbs a day. Okay. So a typical Ketovore plate, if you just imagine a dinner plate, would be covered from 3/4 of the plate up to all the plate with fatty meat and eggs with the yolk. And up to 1/4 of the plate could be some green veg that you enjoy. Whereas Carnivore, the dinner plate's going to be completely covered with fatty meat and eggs. And that can include seafood, of course. Good question. Good question. Thank you, Blythe. Oh. Yvette says pre and post colonoscopy advice. Thank you. So Yvette Grinning-Barrett, there's not much you can do. Definitely ask the doctor, telling them that you want a sugar-free colonoscopy prep. There is such a thing. Some doctors are not aware of that, but if you ask for it, they'll get it for you. And then post colonoscopy, just go back to your normal, proper human diet. That's all you have to do. Okarob, Dr. Berry, I'm from California. My cholesterol is 340. Should I be concerned as my primary care doctor is concerned? I've got several videos on this YouTube channel, Okarob, that will help you understand why having a high total cholesterol or a high LDL cholesterol in the face of having a normal triglycerides, normal HDL, normal A1C, normal C-peptide, normal fasting insulin. If all those things are normal, but your total cholesterol is high, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I've got videos on this channel, and there's actually a new study that really points out all the research on this. You'll find that in the show notes of my latest cholesterol video. Santiago says, thoughts on 200 plus grams of fat? It depends. Make sure you're eating adequate protein. If you're eating adequate protein for you, for your age, for your height, for your body build, for your weight, then you can eat as much fat as you want. You can eat fat to taste, just like salt. It's kind of cool, right? Tanya Boyd, is berberine safe to take on a keto diet? Yes, it is. Berberine is safe. Glucophage is safe. Metformin is safe. If any of you guys are doing keto, Ketovore, or Carnivore, and your A1C is still above 5.6, you probably need to continue taking either berberine or glucophage or metformin. Once you get your A1C under 5.7, you can stop taking that. Cecile says, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. I have lost 44 pounds since January. I was able to stop my blood pressure meds and I stopped my statin drugs. Thank you. Yeah, well said, Cecile. That's why I'm saying you guys don't have to convert overnight. You can just, each time you go to the grocery, buy more keto-friendly or carnivore-friendly food and buy less bullshit. Okay? The corporations really want you to believe that Raisin Bran is heart healthy. They really want you to believe that just because Lucky Charms is made with whole wheat oats, whole grain oats, that's somehow magically okay. Lucky Charms are magically delicious, but they're not magically okay. They're not magically healthy just because they have whole grain oats. Okay. So each time you go to the grocery, buy less shit, buy more real, proper human food. And each month you'll notice that your body fat percentage is better. Your face looks better. Your skin looks younger. You feel better. You sleep better. Everything's better in the bedroom. Winky, winky. There's a new study out, by the way. I'm going to do a YouTube video about this in the coming days. There's a new, well done systematic review and meta-analysis that shows without a doubt that a ketogenic diet raises your testosterone. Yes, you heard me right. You've probably heard some other gurus out there saying, oh, keto might lower your testosterone. There's a systematic review and meta-analysis now showing very clearly that keto raises your testosterone for both men and women in a good way. All right, let's see. Wow. Hang on, guys. Okay, I got that one. Yep. Okay, Suzanne, weight loss is at a crawl now, even with walking 4 miles a day and OMAD, very low carb. What do I do to break the stall? So walking is very good for you, Suzanne, but it's not going to help you lose fat. Okay, if somebody told you that, they were mistaken. But it is very good and very healthy that you're walking. I would say that you didn't mention which diet. I'm assuming you're eating keto. It's time to cut out all the carbs and do 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And I think that'll unbreak your stall. I also have a video on this channel called the 13 Reasons Why Your Weight Loss Might Stall. Watch that video and investigate all 13 reasons with your doctor. Very often, women will have an undiagnosed thyroid condition, adrenal condition, low sex hormones. Any of these things can make you have a weight loss stall. Keto Karina says, I heal type 2 diabetes with diet. How long until body is normal? Well, if you healed your type 2, and you have a normal C-peptide, normal triglycerides, and normal fasting insulin, then your body is back to normal. Now, you may still be holding more fat than you'd like to hold, but that's going to continue to improve as weeks and months go on. Snowflake says, can you explain histamine and carnivore connection? So carnivore is one of the most uninflammatory diets on the planet. The histamine load from a carnivore diet is almost uniformly a lower histamine load than from other diets. And so most people who have histamine problems do very well on a carnivore diet. Some people who have exquisitely sensitive histamine responses may have to do a specific kind of carnivore called the lion diet, which consists of only ruminant meats like beef, sheep, goat, camel, water buffalo, reindeer, depending on what part of the world you're in. And then even for some people, beef, because most beef is aged for 14 days in the meat locker before it's prepared for sale. And so they have to really stick to sheep, goats, camel, reindeer, water buffalo, bison, because those are not aged for 14 days. Anytime you age meat, the histamine count goes up a little bit. Barb, I've been carnivore for a year, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for 2 months. My low iron goes along with low red blood cell count, low hematocrit, and low hemoglobin. The rest of my blood work is perfect, and I've lost 30 pounds this year. Well done, Barb. So, Barb, there's something going on either with your bone marrow or your spleen, that either your bone marrow is not making blood cells effectively, or your spleen is chewing them up prematurely, or you're losing blood from either your bladder, your uterus, or your rectum. And the losing this blood can be invisible. It can be microscopic. So you need to see your doctor and make sure that you get your urine checked. If you're having any vaginal bleeding, you need to tell your doctor that, and also do a little take-home test that looks for invisible blood in your feces, because you may be losing blood, and that's why you're continuing to be anemic. Get that stuff checked out. John, if I use sugar-free water enhancers and you say this could cause a false insulin response, what does that response do to me? So, John, if you're close to your ideal body weight, maybe nothing at all. But if you're still severely overweight or obese, then that insulin response, when your insulin elevates, it becomes very, very difficult to metabolize fat, stored fat. And that's when you lose weight, you mean lose fat. The way you lose that fat is to metabolize it and breathe it out. And you can't do that as effectively if your insulin is elevated. And so that's why for some people who are very sensitive to sweet tastes in their mouth, their cephalic phase insulin response raises the insulin enough to turn off fat burning. Preacher Man Piper says, because of Dr. Berry, who's disabled, have lost 125 pounds in 11 months. Well done, Preacher Man. And indeed, one of the first patients I had at the clinic before the fire was a paraplegic. And he had gained a bunch of weight. And he's like, Doc, it's not like I can really run on the treadmill here. How am I going to lose weight? And I said, well, let's try this keto diet. I want you to eat under 20 total grams of carbohydrates a day. And I refilled his twice yearly meds, checked his blood work. And when he came back in 6 months for his refills and blood work recheck, he had lost 60 or 70 pounds in 6 months. And obviously he's in a wheelchair. He can't be running on the treadmill and doing squat thrusts. He lost it because he fixed his diet. And indeed, for all you guys, if you're trying to burn fat, exercise is really good and healthy, but it's not going to help you burn fat. The body doesn't work that way. Thank you, Lori. James, California. Liver and sardines for health. Huzzah. Liver is a superfood. Sardines are a superfood. Multivitamin, multimineral. Eat your liver and sardines. Absolutely, I agree. Tammy says, is grass-fed dairy okay? It's better than drinking Coca-Cola, Tammy, but adult humans have no need to drink milk. Milk is made for baby mammals to grow and gain weight as quickly as possible. That's what milk is for. And so milk is a health food if you're under 5 or 6 years of age. After the age of 5 or 6, you become, to at least some degree, lactose intolerant. There are some of us who have lactase permanence, and we continue to be able to do it. But in that case, then you have to start worrying about how inflammatory is the casein in the whey. So if you're under the age of 6, drink your milk. It's fine. Try to drink raw milk if you can find it from a reputable place. But after the age of 6, 7 years of age, milk is no longer a health food. Sorry. TCAP Recipe says Lucky Charms are drugs. 100%. You're right. And General Mills is well aware of that. They know that the highly processed ground up grains and sugars give you a dopamine hit, just like if you smoke some weed or snorted some coke. Kellogg's and General Mills know this. They have neuroscientists, they have food chemists who they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to get you addicted to their products and keep you addicted. Yeah, no doubt. John, does high LDL come with a caveat? You must have everything else in check, or it multiplies adverse effects, or is high LDL 100% okay, not a concern? So we don't know which is true, but we do pretty much know now that if you have a normal A1C, normal C-peptide, normal fasting insulin, normal triglycerides, and normal HDL, it's irrelevant if you have high total cholesterol. And it's probably almost completely irrelevant if you have high LDL cholesterol. Now, if all your other numbers are out of whack and you have high LDL, maybe it matters more. And so the good news is that if you adopt a keto diet, a Ketovore diet, or a carnivore diet, you're going to fix all those other numbers. So you won't have to worry about your total cholesterol or your LDL. Brian, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs since September 1 feel good and good results, but I had explosive liquid stools 35 times a day. When should I start to worry? So for most people, this is gone in 2 or 3 weeks. If this lasts for more than a month, you need to go see your doctor. It probably has nothing to do with your diet. You probably have something else going on that needs to be checked out by your doctor. Eric, whoa, come back here, Eric. Where'd you go? Where did Eric go? Brittany, Lacey, Jeff, Lori, golly. Tamara, hang on. Where's Eric? Here he is. 53-year-old male. Total testosterone is 232. That's very low. Free testosterone is 8.5. Carnivore for 2 years. Low energy. What are my options? You need to go see your doctor, Eric, and ask about bioidentical testosterone replacement therapy. 100%. For many people, eating keto, Ketovore, carnivore will raise their testosterone back up to age-appropriate normal levels. But for some people, for whatever reason, it doesn't. Maybe you've been exposed to too many plastics, too many estrogenic chemicals, but you need to see your doctor about that. Tamara, do you have an opinion on keto or carnivore after a Whipple procedure for pancreatic tumor? So regardless of what medical procedure you've had done, Tamara, you're still a human being, and you still deserve all the benefits that come from eating a proper human diet. Lori, I have alopecia, and I was wondering if you have heard of any success stories with eating carnivore. Yes, Lori, but I can't guarantee that you're going to have a success. Sometimes when you have alopecia, whether it's the circular type or just the diffuse type, the hair follicles themselves actually die. That's the little skin apparatus that makes the hair. Sometimes they just go dormant. And so if they're just dormant, when you switch over to keto or carnivore, very often they'll wake back up and start to make a hair shaft again. But if they've completely died and basically just turned into a normal skin cell, then you may not have new hair growth. Only way to know is to try. Jeff Fisher, can you overdose on 5 drops Lugol's iodine a day? Probably not, Jeff, but I would limit it to 2 drops a day of the Lugol's 2%. That's going to give you about 5 milligrams or 5,000 micrograms of total iodine. And for any adult, that's going to be plenty. So 5 drops is just, you're wasting your Lugol's if you do that, probably. Lacey, boyfriend had chronic kidney disease at 45%. How can I help cure or improve his percentage? We are transitioning him to carnivore. We're already doing it, Lacey. He has had a 190 to 200 pound. He has had a 190 to 200 pounds. So either he's at 190 to 200 pounds or he's lost that much. He is nervous. So I actually have a video on this channel about chronic kidney disease and what causes it, what makes it worse. Dr. Brian Linskis, Dr. Tro, Dr. Jason Fung, we've seen hundreds of people with chronic kidney disease actually improve their kidney function by eating keto, ketovore, carnivore, and implementing some degree of intermittent daily fasting. So you're doing exactly the right thing, Lacey. Brittany, my husband has IgA nephropathy stage 2, and his doctor keeps telling him to stay away from red meat. His doctor is currently ignorant. And that I'm not calling his doctor a name. I'm just saying he currently doesn't understand the physiology, or he's forgotten the physiology, because typically nephrologists are pretty smart. Would he be okay on carnivore or keto? Yes. Not only would he be okay on it, he's actually going to improve his kidney function. Brittany Ray, you're leading him in the right direction. SRFSNW08. Come on, man. Change your handle. 30 days, no alcohol, strict carnivore diet. BP changed from 145 over 85 down to 106 over 63. You guys hear that? No more tingling in my fingers, lost 20 pounds, and no more anxiety attacks. Getting blood tests done next week at the doctor's appointment and a DEXA scan. Well done, SRF. So we've fixed hypertension with strict carnivore. Neuropathy has improved with carnivore, lost 20 pounds with carnivore, and mental health, anxiety disorder improved with strict carnivore. Guys, listen to this. This is important. How many of you guys know somebody who has one of those conditions, high blood pressure, neuropathy, overweight, or has mental health issues? Please share this video with them. I guarantee you, SRF heard about keto or carnivore from a friend, or maybe somebody shared a video just like this with him or her and said, hey, you know, you can lower your blood pressure just by eating this certain diet, right? So they're like, I'll try it. And look what happened. Please share this video. Xerxes, well, presumptuous. I have several seborrheic keratosis on my scalp. One of them is fairly large. Will keto help with this skin condition? Yeah, 2 things are going to help with seborrheic keratosis. If any of you guys have it, first of all is to eat a proper human diet, which is either keto, ketovore, or carnivore. I've got videos on this channel explaining all 3 dietary patterns. And then the second thing is you want to traumatize your seborrheic keratosis. Okay, so wherever it is, like when you get out of the shower, take the towel and just scrub the shit out of it. Okay, and here's why that helps. Now, if you're eating a standard American diet, that's going to inflame it, but then it's just going to get bigger. But if you're eating a proper human diet and you stimulate it like that, some people take fingernail clippers and clip the top off. Some people take their fingernails and scratch it. That causes inflammation, which is the first step of the healing process. And if you're eating a proper human diet and your immune system is well fed, when it sees that inflammation, it's like, whoa, something's going on up here. What is that? And so it immediately attacks that area, cleans up all of the unhealthy cells, the precancerous cells, and it goes away. We've heard this happening thousands of times for people over the age of 40 with seborrheic keratosis. Ron Garris, 70-year-old carnivore for 90 days. 90 days ago, my creatinine was 1.5. 90 days later, 2.35. BUN 35 to 50. EGFR 50 to 29. Is 12 cups of coffee daily the culprit? Maybe. Go see your nephrologist, Ron. And it could be some medication you're taking. It might be the coffee, but I doubt it. Coffee's pretty innocuous. It's probably just all the extra water you're drinking. Sounds like you're drinking a lot of unnecessary water. That can actually make your kidneys work harder. If you're thirsty, drink, but don't drink out of habit. Don't drink because you think drinking more liquids is good for your kidneys, because it ain't. Keto Karina, what causes TSH to increase? There's about 100 things that cause your TSH to go up and about 100 things that can cause it to go down. In order to know if your thyroid is involved, we need to check a complete thyroid panel, which consists of a TSH, a free T3, a free T4, a reverse T3, a TPO antibody, and a TG antibody. That's the full thyroid panel. And if you didn't get all those, you can go back and watch this section again. Just look at the timestamp, and you can come back and watch this section with a pencil and write that down. LA Gun, any suggestions for stenosis in the brain? I'm assuming, do you mean spinal stenosis, or do you mean arterial stenosis? Either of which a proper human diet is going to help prevent or reverse any inflammation that is contributing to that stenosis. So a proper human diet is definitely not going to make it worse, and might quite possibly make it less severe. Darby, lifelong allergies, Graves' disease diagnosed in 2015, type 1 diabetes in January of 2015, zero insulin since February 1, full carnivore, March the 1st, allergy Graves, med-free, 5 foot 6 inches, 123 pounds. Yesterday, 146 pounds, antibody test Monday. Thoughts? Thanks. Thanks for the super chat, Darby, but I'm not real sure what your question is there. If your question is, will I benefit from eating a proper human diet, keto, ketovore, carnivore, then yes, absolutely. Definitely follow up with your doctor about your lab results, but I'm unsure of what your question actually is. I'm sorry. Comments have locked up. Where did we get to? There we go. Okay. Now, next up is Stephen. Lost 150 pounds on keto, eating one meal a day in 2 years. So in 2 years, Stephen lost 150 pounds on keto. Hit a stall 2 months ago, been on Lion Carnivore since, still stalled. Please help. I've got a video on this channel called the 13 Reasons Why Your Weight Loss Might Stall. Watch that video and investigate all 13 causes with your healthcare provider, and you will get to the bottom of this. But let me add, you've only been stalled for 2 months. We don't even actually consider it an official stall until you haven't lost any weight at all for 3 months, and you also haven't lost any inches from your waist or your abdomen or your hips. Okay, so take your measurements with a tailor's tape. And because many people will stop losing weight temporarily on the scale, but they continue to lose inches. So measure both. And then if you're still stalled a month from now, watch my video and investigate those causes. Brianna, A1C down to 5.1. Huzzah, Brianna. But I'm not losing fat. I have a lot to lose. How does upping fat help with fat loss? I'm currently eating 1-to-1 fat to protein. So you need to get your fasting insulin and your C-peptide checked, Brianna, because probably even though you have a beautiful A1C, you're probably still hyperinsulinemic. And it may not be anything you're doing wrong. You may just need to give your body a few more months to heal your metabolism, and then the fat loss will start. Okay, but for many people, fat is more satiating than protein. And so when you increase that fat to protein ratio from 1-to-1 up to 2-to-1 fat to protein, you're going to be satiated for longer. And so you're going to go many more hours without eating, which is called fasting. And when you fast like that, your insulin level quickly comes back down to low normal. And that's when you're able to metabolize away the stored fat. Carnivorous Libertarian. What a handle. That's my favorite so far. Thank you. I was diagnosed type 2 in January with an A1C of 11.4. For you guys who don't know, that's terrible. That's really, really bad. And a fasting glucose of 400. I quit the carbs and sugar. 3 months later, A1C of 5.7, which is almost normal. 3 months later, 5.1 and off all medications. That's how you reverse type 2 diabetes. You guys, there are people out there who says it can't be done. Carnivorous Libertarian would disagree with you because they actually did it. Good questions, guys. All right, let me see. Where's the next one? Brianna. Okay, got that one. Lori, I have not had a bowel movement in 3 days. This is my 6th day being on carnivore, and I'm only eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Any suggestions? So, Lori, it is considered normal by board-certified gastroenterologists for a human being to have a poop frequency of somewhere between 3 times a day or 1 time every 3rd day. And so you're still within normal limits. That's the first thing to understand. Humans are not necessarily meant to poop every day. If you're eating a lot of fiber and a lot of high carb processed sugary shit, yeah, you might poop 3 or 4 times a day. Okay. But when you start eating more nutrient dense foods that are basically pure nutrition with no waste, you're not going to make as much poop. And therefore, you're not going to poop as often. And when you do poop, you're not going to poop the big, huge volume that you used to poop. So if you're not having pain, if you're not having bloating, you just haven't built up enough poop to go poop yet. Yeah, you're doing everything right. Now, if you'd like to go ahead and stimulate, you can take a little extra magnesium, or you can increase your fat percentage a little bit. Both of these things will tend to get the thunder rolling. But at this point, if you're not having any discomfort, you probably don't need to even do that. Just give your body time. It'll poop when it's ready. I promise. Okay, got that one. Thank you very much, Shirley Pugh. Darby, type 1 diabetes, January 15th of this year. I've gained 23 pounds with no androgenous insulin since May. Did you mean endogenous or exogenous? Don't you have to make insulin to gain weight? You either have to make the insulin yourself or you have to inject the insulin. So if your pancreas is making too much insulin, you will gain weight. If you're injecting too much insulin because you're eating too many carbohydrates, you will gain weight. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ronald Rodriguez. Crown of Curls, 82. Lacking energy and muscle weakness on carnivore. Any tips to reverse this? Thanks, Dr. B. So Crown of Curls, 82, you want to eat until you're comfortably stuffed. Many people, including many women, will unconsciously portion control. They'll be like, that's too big of a piece of meat. I shouldn't eat that big of a piece. That is irrelevant. You do not listen to that. You listen to your hunger. If you eat that big piece of meat and then you eat another piece of meat, if you ate it because you're still hungry, that's perfectly normal. But if you're not eating enough total food, you could have fatigue. If you're not salting your food to taste, you can have fatigue and muscle weakness, okay? If you're not getting enough electrolytes or getting enough daily minerals, you can have lack of energy and muscle weakness. So eat until you're comfortably stuffed, which means you can't take one more bite of food. Make sure you're getting plenty of salt in your diet. Make sure you're getting your electrolytes and your minerals. And I think you'll notice that that symptom goes away. Michelle says, what's Neisha's channel called? It's just called Neisha, Neisha. So youtube.com/Neisha. That's her channel. She's the most famous Neisha on YouTube. Okay. She's like Raven. She just goes by her first name now. She's so famous. Isn't that crazy? All right. Let's see what we got here. You never heard thunder rolling before? I think Granddaddy Barry used to say that. I don't really get to thunder rolling, boy. Yeah. Let's see here. Now's the time, guys. If you got a question, thank you, PCT2R, for the super sticker. Susan, what do Lugol's iron drops do for you besides giving you iron? I don't know what Lugol's iron drops are. The Lugol's drops we talk about are Lugol's iodine drops. They don't have iron. They have iodine in them. Iodine is very, very important for the function of every cell in your body. I've got several videos on this YouTube channel that will explain to you why every cell in your body needs iodine on a daily basis, Susan. KZ says, any information about carnivore diet helping teeth and dental issues? 100% yes, KZ. If you have periodontal disease, if you have gingivitis, if you have receding gums, if you have early cavities, eating a carnivore diet, especially one rich in vitamin D3 and vitamin K2, and I've got videos on this channel about foods rich in vitamin D3 and vitamin K2, they can actually reverse early cavities in teeth, can completely do away with the inflammation and bleeding of gums of gingivitis or periodontal disease. Absolutely. Yes. When you eat a diet that's high in sugar or high in processed grains, you upregulate all of the evil bacteria that live in your mouth, because we all have bacteria in our mouth right now, including you. I know you've used that Listerine 14 times today, but your mouth is still full of bacteria. But when you use that Listerine, you're actually killing all the nice, gentle bacteria, and you're selecting for the aggressive, mean bacteria. So stop using that. Okay, I got a video that gives you more details on that. But when you eat a high carb diet, highly processed sugary diet, you're selecting for the mean enamel busting bacteria to live in your mouth, because you're going to have bacteria in your mouth. You're either going to have nice, gentle ones that can actually protect your enamel, or you're going to have mean, evil ones that will actually drill holes in teeth. Yeah. All right. I think we need another question. Charles says, how do you cook egg yellow and it remains soft? It's called over easy, Charles. If you'll just search on YouTube for how to cook over easy eggs, then you'll know how to do that. It's very simple. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes, and they're delicious. Cloud Natty says, can carnivore diet help histamine intolerance? Absolutely. Many people with histamine intolerance, they have a complete absence of any further symptoms after going carnivore. Thank you, Carrie Franklin, very much for the super sticker. Be Good to Me says, can you drink alcohol on carnivore? Be Good to Me, you can drink alcohol on any diet, but on whichever diet you drink alcohol on, alcohol is poison. This is very clear. The biochemistry and physiology of this is not up for debate. There is no such thing as healthy alcohol. If your doctor says have a glass of red wine for your heart health, your doctor's currently ignorant. Okay, there is no such thing as heart healthy alcohol or healthy alcohol at all. Now, occasionally I'll have a mixed drink that's 0 sugar, 0 carb, but I'm well aware when I have that drink that that's poison. I drink it for the social, for the relaxing, get a little buzz, but it's poison. Actually, the thing that makes you get a buzz is the acetaldehyde. It's the poison. It is not good for you. So I would recommend officially that you don't drink any alcohol at all. But if you're going to drink, have an occasional drink once a month. Have a drink for your birthday, your anniversary, and let that be it. Alcohol is not good for you. This is not up for debate. Coffee time. I have IgA nephropathy and kidney failure. I leak protein into my urine. Can I do keto or carnivore? 100% yes, coffee time. And you can actually improve your kidney function by doing fatty meat keto or carnivore, either one. You can improve your kidney function. How cool is that? Thank you, Roughwood Thrifter. Brad W., I get that it's beef, eggs, bacon, butter. Should things like fish, shellfish, pork chops, chicken be limited? So beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is just a challenge. Basically, it's to help you break any sugar and carbohydrate addiction you have. It's to make it simple to do this diet for 90 days. It's to make it relatively inexpensive to do this diet for 90 days. If you'd like to include fatty cold water fish and shellfish in your beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, you 100% have my permission. Pork chops are not fatty enough. That's why we don't include them, and they have a little too high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Chicken is just not fatty enough, and its omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is not great. That's why we don't include pork chops and chicken. Now, bacon is a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. So is hog jowl. That's a real thing. And pork belly, they're 1-to-1 fat to protein. So, and they are proxies for bacon. But yeah, if any of you guys are like, man, I really wish I could have some sardines or anchovies or mackerel or herring or cod liver on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, you can. If you'd like to have oysters or crustaceans, shellfish, shrimp, you 100% can. It's totally fine. Got coffee time already. Thank you, Ronald Rodriguez. Linda. Now, Linda, it's thank you for the super chat, but it says your message was retracted. I'm not sure why it got retracted. Jay, losing weight and off metformin after 2 months on carnivore. What can I do to drop the blood pressure? Just keep doing exactly what you're doing, Jay. The same physiological mechanism that's helping your blood sugar come down and helping your insulin come down is also going to help your blood pressure come down as well. Now, keep a check on your blood pressure, because about 5% of people, even if they're doing perfect carnivore and they lose right down to their ideal body weight, their blood pressure will still be just a little too high, and they'll have to take a low dose of one blood pressure medication to get it down to normal. But 95% of people, once they eat carnivore for long enough, they don't need blood pressure medicines anymore, and their blood pressure is beautiful. Rich Lopez, my doctor put me on Mounjaro. Is it safe? I started carnivore almost 4 weeks ago, and I'm down 20 pounds. Well done, Rich. You're off to a great start. The Mounjaro is going to be a complete and utter waste of your copay and of your time, and you're going to be at increased risk of all those side effects that the package insert talks about. The pharmacist did give you the package insert, right? You should always read the package insert of any medication you're about to put inside your body. If you continue to do carnivore for another few months, you'll have zero need of the Mounjaro, okay? PCT, whoa, where'd you go, PCT? PCT2R. Vitamin D is 33. Is it dangerously low? No, it's not dangerously low, but it's still too low. You want your vitamin D 25 level to be somewhere between 50 and 100. That's the ideal range, okay? Preferably 75 to 100, I think, is probably the ultimate range to have your vitamin D 25 level. 33 is better than probably 90% of the U.S. population, but it's not quite high enough. How to boost vitamin D. I've got a video on this channel about vitamin D-rich foods. That's number one. Number two is take your shirt off and get out in the sun and get some sun. That's how human beings, we can actually make our own vitamin D out of cholesterol by getting sunlight on our naked skin. So get plenty of sun, eat from the vitamin D rich foods I talk about in the video. And then if you need to supplement, you can take 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 every day. You want to come say hi, Becky Berry? He's shy. He's also wearing his mother's shoes. Running shoes, not heels. Don't get excited. All right, good question. Carrie Franklin, Dr. Berry, I have a physical coming up. My doctor wants me on statins and testosterone meds. What test should I ask for to get results? So you want a A1C, a C-peptide, a fasting insulin, a lipid panel, a CMP, that's a complete metabolic panel, asked for them to add a ferritin, a homocysteine, and a GGT, and a urinalysis, of course. And then if you meant testosterone, then if you're a man, then have them check a free and total testosterone and a sex hormone binding globulin. If you're a woman, total testosterone and sex hormone binding globulin. That's the test that you need. Okay, got that one. Jeff Fisher, albumin is high at 5.0. Why so high on carnivore? So albumin is made from amino acids. It is a protein. And so you got to remember that when we were setting the normal lab range for these labs, including albumin, they took 100 or 200 or 500 just regular people off the street who were eating a high carbohydrate, nutrient depleted diet, the standard American diet, and they checked their albumin. And then they made a distribution curve and they said, okay, 2 orders of magnitude from the midline, that's going to be the normal range. So, but now if you're eating carnivore, you're eating a way more nutrient dense diet than those several hundred people who helped set the test curve were eating. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that your albumin is a little high. It's not a sign of anything dangerous. Carry on. Emily T, chronic nasal inflammation for the past 3 years, on carnivore for 2 weeks, no improvement yet. Will carnivore help? Most likely, if the reason you have nasal congestion is from inflammation. Okay. So if you just have allergic rhinitis, if you have allergic sinusitis, then it's going to get better as weeks go by on a carnivore diet. Now, some people can have an undiagnosed smoldering fungal infection in a sinus, either here or here or here, or deep inside. And that'll cause chronic nasal inflammation. Some people can have an undiagnosed bacterial or viral infection in a sinus. Some people can have a polyp in their nose. Some people can have a deviated nasal septum. There's many reasons why you might have chronic nasal inflammation, but you should notice at about week 4 to 8 on carnivore that your chronic nasal inflammation is less severe. It may not be gone, but it should be less severe. And so in 4 to 8 more weeks, if you're like, no, it's no better at all, time to go see your doctor and maybe consider getting a CAT scan of your sinuses to see if there's polyps or a blockage. Maybe you inhaled a Lego block when you were a kid and you didn't know it. It's still in there. I've seen that happen. Don't laugh. You may have an infection that's undiagnosed, a polyp. You may have an occluded sinus that keeps you inflamed all the time. Many different things could be going on, Emily. All right. I got time for one more super chat, and then I'm going to have to sign off. If somebody's got a question they really want to ask, now's the time. Michelle said keto cleared my allergies after about 6 months. Yeah, so a month to 6 months is the average, with probably the majority of people from the 1 to 2 to 3 months, their allergies, their sinuses are much, much better. I used to have severe allergic rhinitis all the damn time. And I had about 3 or 4 sinus infections a year back when I was eating the crap diet. Even when I was eating a paleo diet full of Ezekiel bread and quinoa and sweet potatoes and lots of vegetables, I had sinus infections and congestion all the damn time. It was terrible. But it got 80% better on keto. And now that I'm carnivore, it's almost like I can't get nasal congestion inappropriately any longer. It's really, really the coolest thing, because I hate having a stopped up nose, because I had it chronically the first 30 years of my life. Lori, I know about the Framingham study about HDL and LDL. Is there a study to debunk it? Well, actually, several researchers, including Dr. David Diamond, a PhD researcher at the University of South Florida, they went back and recrunched the numbers of the Framingham study. And the Framingham study doesn't really actually show what many people think it shows. If you'll go back to my last video about heart health and cholesterol, in the show notes, there's a paper that's written by Bickman and Mason and Diamond. that you can actually, there's a link, you can click it, print that study out and take it to your doctor and tell your doctor to shut the hell up about my LDL because it's not important. There are other markers that are much more important. Craig says prostate cancer, number 3 is carnivore. Okay, 100%, Craig, you need to be eating as low carb as you possibly can.
Make sure everybody goes and watches the surgery video.
Wild Bill, multi-day fasting for managing ankylosing spondylitis. Yeah, first and foremost, Wild Bill, eat as low carb as you possibly can. If you can eat 0 carb, which is carnivore, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, line diet, that's what I would do if I were you. And then if you want to do a 1-day fast every 3rd day or a 2-day fast once a week or a 3-day fast every other week, absolutely, it's going to decrease the severity of your ankylosing spondylitis. If you guys want to see video of me high on Valium, getting a vasectomy, go over to Neisha's channel and you can watch that. It's just youtube.com/Neisha. If you have a very important medical question that you need to ask me, but you didn't get a chance to tonight, become a patron on patreon.com. There's a link down in the show notes. We have 4 additional live Q&As just like this one each and every week, but instead of 2,200 people asking questions, there's 1 or 200. So I'm able to answer many more questions much more thoroughly on Patreon. The link's down in the show notes. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I'll see you Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for Monday Night Live, and my beautiful wife, Neisha, will be sitting right here beside me. See you then.